Intro. June Allyson, one of the most beloved stars of Hollywood's golden age. You might remember her as the charming girl-next-door actress with that signature husky voice. But behind her on-screen sweetness was a life full of struggles, resilience, and determination. From a difficult childhood filled with tragedy to becoming one of MGM's biggest stars, her journey was nothing short of extraordinary. Today we're diving into the incredible life of June Allyson, her rise to fame, her Hollywood career, her personal challenges, and the legacy she left behind. Childhood and family. June Allyson was born Eleanor Geisman on October 7, 1917, in the Bronx, New York, into a family of modest means. Her parents, Clara, née Provost, and Robert Geisman, came from working-class backgrounds, and her paternal grandparents, Harry Geisman and Anna Hafner, were German immigrants. Although Allyson later claimed that her surname was originally Van Geisman and of Dutch origin, records indicate her German heritage. Her early years were marked by hardship, as her father, who struggled with alcoholism, abandoned the family when she was just 6 months old. Left to fend for herself and her infant daughter, Clara took on various low-paying jobs, including working as a telephone operator and restaurant cashier, in an effort to provide for their small household. With her mother working long hours, Allyson spent much of her childhood under the care of her maternal grandparents. Their home was far from luxurious, and the family barely managed to make ends meet. Despite their financial struggles, her mother was determined to create a sense of stability for her daughter. However, life took an even more tragic turn in 1925 when Allyson, at the age of 8, suffered a devastating accident. While riding her tricycle with her beloved dog, a massive tree branch suddenly fell, crushing her beneath it. The impact resulted in severe injuries, including a fractured skull and a broken spine. Doctors feared she would never walk again and prescribed a rigid steel brace that extended from her neck to her hips, which she was forced to wear for 4 years. Confined to her bed for much of her early recovery, Allyson experienced a lonely and painful childhood. The medical expenses added further strain to their already dire financial situation, forcing her mother to work even harder. Despite her circumstances, Allyson displayed remarkable resilience. As she slowly transitioned from her bed to a wheelchair, then to crutches, and eventually to walking again, she discovered solace in an unexpected place: Hollywood films. She became particularly enchanted by the dazzling performances of Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, watching their movies repeatedly. One film, The Gay Divorcee, captivated her so much that she saw it 17 times, studying every movement with fascination. Inspired by their grace and elegance, she resolved to teach herself how to dance, mimicking their steps in her small apartment. When her mother remarried, the family's financial situation improved slightly, allowing Allyson to pursue her newfound passion more seriously. She enrolled in the Ned Wayburn Dancing Academy, a prestigious school for aspiring performers. Determined to make something of herself, she adopted the stage name Elaine Peters and began entering local dance competitions. Her natural talent and perseverance quickly became evident, and soon she was performing in vaudeville acts and small-scale productions. These early experiences not only helped her refine her skills, but also instilled in her an unshakable work ethic that would serve her well in her later career. Allyson's difficult childhood shaped her in many ways, instilling in her both independence and an unwavering determination to succeed. The struggles of her early years, growing up without a father, living in near poverty, and overcoming a life-altering accident, became the foundation upon which she built her career. Rather than succumbing to adversity, she channeled her hardships into a relentless drive to escape the limitations of her upbringing and find a place for herself in the world of entertainment. It was this determination that ultimately set her on the path to stardom. June Allison's career began in the early 1930s, during the golden age of Hollywood, when she found work in short musical films produced by Warner Brothers and Vodafone. At the time, she was just another aspiring performer trying to break into show business, but even in these modest productions, her natural charisma and talent stood out. In shorts like Swing for Sale, 1937, and pixelated 1937, she demonstrated a lively screen presence and impressive dancing ability which helped her land work as a chorus girl on Broadway. Performing in the ensemble gave her valuable stage experience, but more importantly, it put her in the right circles to catch the attention of influential producers. Her first major break came when she was cast in the Broadway musical Sing Out the News. It was during this period that she adopted the stage name June Allyson, a decision that would define her professional identity for the rest of her career. Her true breakthrough arrived in 1940 when she was cast as the understudy for Betty Hutton in Panama Hattie. When Hutton fell ill, Allyson stepped in and delivered a performance that left a lasting impression on Broadway producer George Abbott. Recognizing her potential, Abbott cast her in Best Foot Forward, a musical that would change the course of her career. Her performance in the show was so well received that when Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer MGM acquired the film rights in 1943, the studio invited Allyson to reprise her role in the movie adaptation. This marked her official transition to Hollywood and the beginning of her association with MGM, the most prestigious studio of the era. Upon signing a contract with MGM, Allyson was quickly positioned as one of the studio's rising stars. Her fresh-faced charm and girl-next-door appeal made her an ideal fit for the wholesome, light-hearted musicals that MGM was known for. She was often cast in roles that emphasized her warmth and optimism, and one of her early successes was Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, in which she starred alongside Van Johnson. The film was a major hit, and her on-screen chemistry with Johnson was so well received that MGM capitalized on their popularity by pairing them in multiple films, including Hi Barbaree, 1947, and The Bride Goes Wild, 1948. Her husky voice, friendly demeanor, and easygoing charm endeared her to audiences, particularly American servicemen during World War II, who saw in her an image of the perfect all-American sweetheart. In 1949, Allyson took on one of her most celebrated roles as Jo March in Little Women, further proving that she could handle both dramatic and comedic material. As the 1950s began, she moved beyond bubbly ingenue roles and transitioned into what became her signature on-screen persona, the devoted and supportive wife. Films like The Stratton Story, 1949, and The Glenn Miller Story, 1953, both opposite James Stewart, reinforced this image. MGM carefully crafted her public persona as the epitome of the perfect wife, an idealized figure that resonated deeply with post-war audiences looking for stability and traditional family values. Despite her success, Allyson was eager to take on more complex and challenging roles, hoping to break away from the typecasting that had come to define her career. In 1955, she made a bold move by starring in The Shrike, a psychological drama in which she played a controlling and manipulative wife whose actions push her husband to the brink of insanity. The role was a stark contrast to the wholesome character she had become known for, and critics praised her performance. However, audiences who had grown accustomed to her sunny, cheerful persona were reluctant to accept her in such a dark role. The film failed to connect with the public, and Allyson's attempt to reinvent herself was met with disappointment at the box office. By the late 1950s, her career began to wane. MGM, which had been her professional home for over a decade, chose not to renew her contract as the studio system itself was beginning to decline. Without the backing of a major studio, Allyson struggled to maintain her star power. She appeared in films like My Man Godfrey, 1957, and A Stranger in My Arms, 1959, but neither project reignited her career. As Hollywood entered a new era dominated by grittier films and younger stars, Allyson found herself increasingly out of step with industry trends. From 1959 to 1961, June Allyson took on a new challenge as the host of The DuPont Show with June Allyson, an anthology television series that featured a variety of dramatic performances. This marked a significant shift in her career, allowing her to step beyond her established image as a film actress and explore different storytelling formats. The series provided her with an opportunity to work behind the scenes while also introducing her to a new audience on the small screen. Though the show had a relatively short run, it reinforced her presence in the entertainment industry during a time when television was becoming an increasingly dominant medium. Beyond hosting, Allyson remained active in television throughout the 1960s and 1970s, making guest appearances on several popular programs. She was featured on The Judy Garland Show, where she reunited with her longtime friend and fellow MGM star. She also appeared in Love, American Style, a light-hearted anthology series that showcased comedic and romantic sketches. These guest spots kept her name in the public eye and demonstrated her ability to transition between drama and comedy, adapting to the evolving entertainment landscape. In 1972, she briefly returned to the big screen with They Only Kill Their Masters, a crime drama starring James Garner. The film, a suspenseful mystery set in a coastal California town, was one of her final significant roles in cinema. However, as Hollywood moved toward a new era of filmmaking that favored younger, edgier talent, Allyson found fewer opportunities in film and turned her attention to stage performances. She took on leading roles in Broadway and touring productions, including 40 Carats, a romantic comedy about a middle-aged woman falling in love with a much younger man. She also embarked on a national tour of the beloved musical No No Nanette, which paid homage to the lively spirit of 1920s Broadway. By the 1980s, Allyson had largely stepped away from acting, though she remained a recognizable public figure. In a surprising yet practical career move, she became the spokesperson for Depend adult diapers. While some might have seen this as an unusual choice for a former Hollywood star, Allyson approached the role with grace and professionalism, using her platform to help destigmatize conversations around aging and health. Rather than retreating from the spotlight, she embraced a new kind of visibility, one that resonated with an aging audience who had grown up watching her on screen. Though her film and television appearances became less frequent in her later years, she continued to make occasional guest spots well into the 1990s, proving that her charm and appeal had never truly faded. Whether through her early days as a musical star, her later television work, or her advocacy for senior health issues, June Allyson remained a beloved figure whose legacy extended far beyond her Hollywood heyday. Praise. June Allyson's romantic life was filled with love, challenges, and resilience, spanning multiple marriages that shaped different phases of her personal journey. Her most well-known and enduring marriage was to actor and director Dick Powell, whom she married in 1945. At the time, Powell was already an established Hollywood star, having transitioned from musical comedies to more serious film roles, and he was also 13 years older than Allyson. Their relationship was considered one of Hollywood's most stable at the time, though it was not without its difficulties. Powell had previously been married to actress Joan Blondell, with whom he had 2 children, making Allyson a stepmother early in their marriage. Together, Allyson and Powell adopted a daughter, Pamela Powell, and later had a biological son, Richard Powell Jr. While their marriage appeared ideal to the public, there were tensions behind the scenes. Powell, a businessman and filmmaker with a strong personality, was deeply focused on his career, and Allyson often found herself struggling to balance her role as a wife, mother, and actress. In 1961, after 16 years of marriage, Allyson shocked Hollywood by filing for divorce, citing mental cruelty. The news made headlines, as the couple had long been regarded as one of Hollywood's happiest pairs. However, despite the legal proceedings, they eventually reconciled, and Allyson withdrew the divorce filing. Sadly, their time together was cut short when Powell was diagnosed with cancer and passed away in 1963 at the age of 58. His death was devastating for Allyson, who later admitted to struggling with grief and depression in the years that followed. In the wake of Powell's passing, Allyson faced not only emotional turmoil but also legal battles. In a shocking turn of events, her own mother filed a lawsuit against her, seeking custody of Allyson's children and alleging that she was an unfit mother. The case created a scandal and cast a shadow over Allyson's personal life. Eventually, a legal compromise was reached, and her then-boyfriend, Dirk Summers, was appointed as co-guardian of her children. The conflict with her mother left a lasting impact on Allyson, further complicating an already difficult period in her life. During this vulnerable time, Allyson made what many considered an impulsive decision to marry Glenn Maxwell, a former barber who had worked for Dick Powell. They wed in 1963, just months after Powell's passing. However, the marriage quickly became a source of controversy, with allegations that Maxwell was controlling and financially exploitative. Their relationship was highly unstable, leading to a divorce in 1965, a remarriage in 1966, and a final divorce in 1970. This period of emotional upheaval took a toll on Allyson, and her once pristine public image suffered as a result. It wasn't until 1976 that Allyson found lasting happiness when she married Dr. David Ashrow, a dentist who later became an actor. Unlike her previous relationships, this marriage provided her with a sense of stability and companionship. Ashrow supported her in her later years, standing by her side as she took on philanthropic work, wrote her autobiography, and became a spokesperson for Depend Adult Diapers. Their marriage lasted for 30 years. Other relationships. June Allyson's professional journey was marked by significant collaborations and relationships that extended beyond her marital life, notably her enduring partnerships with co-stars Van Johnson and James Stewart, as well as her connections within the MGM studio and Broadway communities. Allyson and Van Johnson formed one of MGM's most beloved on-screen duos during the 1940s and 1950s. Their chemistry resonated with audiences, leading them to co-star in 6 films together. Their first collaboration was in Two Girls and a Sailor, 1944, where their natural rapport was evident. This successful pairing continued in films such as High Barbaree, 1947, and The Bride Goes Wild, 1948. Their final film together, Too Young to Kiss, 1951, showcased their versatility and solidified their status as a favorite cinematic couple. Their professional relationship was characterized by mutual respect and a shared commitment to their craft, contributing significantly to the era's film landscape. Another pivotal professional relationship for Allyson was with James Stewart. The duo portrayed married couples in 3 notable films, beginning with The Stratton Story, 1949, a biographical film about baseball player Monty Stratton. Their on-screen chemistry was further showcased in The Glenn Miller Story, 1954, where they depicted the life of the famed bandleader and his wife. Their final collaboration, Strategic Air Command, 1955, delved into the life of a baseball player recalled to active duty in the U.S. Air Force. These films not only highlighted their compatibility as co-stars, but also reinforced Allison's image as the quintessential supportive wife, a role that resonated with the post-war American audience. Allison's career was also shaped by her relationships within the MGM studio system and the Broadway community. Starting her career on Broadway, she appeared in productions like Sing Out the News, 1938, and Very Warm for May, 1939, where she honed her skills and built connections with fellow performers and industry professionals. Transitioning to Hollywood, she became a contract player for MGM, a studio known for its roster of talented actors and collaborative environment. Within MGM, Allyson worked alongside a diverse group of actors, directors, and producers, fostering professional relationships that contributed to her development as a versatile actress. Her ability to collaborate effectively with a range of colleagues underscored her reputation as a dedicated and adaptable performer. Death of June Allyson passed away on July 8, 2006 at her home in Ojai, California, at the age of 88. The cause of death was pulmonary respiratory failure and acute bronchitis, conditions she had been battling for some time. According to her daughter, Pamela Allison Powell, the actress had been in declining health for several years before her passing. Despite her health struggles, she remained active in various charitable endeavors and maintained her characteristic optimism and charm until her final years. In her later life, Allyson dedicated much of her time to philanthropic work, particularly in raising awareness about age-related health issues. She founded the June Allyson Foundation for Public Awareness and Medical Research, which focused on issues affecting urinary incontinence and other health conditions in the elderly. Through her efforts, she helped break the stigma surrounding these issues and encouraged open discussions about health and wellness for aging individuals. Additionally, her role as a spokesperson for dependent adult diapers in the 1980s and 1990s was widely praised for bringing visibility to a topic that was often considered taboo. Although her time in the spotlight had faded by the late 20th century, Allison's legacy endured. She continued to make occasional public appearances and was warmly remembered by fans and colleagues alike. She remained married to her third husband, David Ashrow, a retired dentist turned actor who was by her side during her final years. Their marriage, which lasted 30 years, was a source of comfort and stability for Allison after the tumultuous personal struggles she had faced earlier in life. Upon her passing, Allison was survived by her husband, David Ashrow, her daughter Pamela, her son Richard Powell Jr., a grandson, and her brother. Her funeral was private, with only close family and friends in attendance, in keeping with her preference for a quiet, dignified farewell. June Allison's death marked the end of an era for fans of classic Hollywood cinema. She left behind a legacy of warmth, talent, and resilience. Best remembered for her roles as the perfect wife in films like The Glenn Miller Story and The Stratton Story, she was an actress whose on-screen persona reflected the idealized image of post-war American womanhood. However, beyond her Hollywood roles, Allison was a trailblazer in advocating for elderly health issues, and a woman who overcame great personal hardships. Though she is no longer with us, her influence lives on through the countless films in which she starred, the causes she championed, and the inspiration she provided to generations of actors and audiences alike.